the day after 9/11. Cofer Black, an hour after the attacks began, Cofer Black stood on a chair right outside of his office. And it was dead silent. There were hundreds of us. Silence. And he said, today we're at war and we're all going to have to fight. Not all of us are going to come home. So if you want to walk out now, walk out and no one will think less of you. One woman walked out. And then her branch went to the deputy director for analysis and said, we don't have confidence in her leadership. And so she was removed. But, everybody volunteered. It was literally within 24 hours that we began this transition into a paramilitary force. There was no more focus on recruiting spies to steal secrets, right? It was just about destroying Al-Qaeda, destroying it permanently. And to tell you the truth, among core Al-Qaeda, that core of Al-Qaeda that was based in Afghanistan, they were destroyed by Christmas, right? The Senate Foreign Relations Committee, years before I joined it, of course, came out with a study that probably should have been classified and wasn't. And they said that by the end of 2001, there were 25 active Al-Qaeda members still in Afghanistan. 25. It had been destroyed. And everybody else who had made their way across the border into Pakistan, we were capturing. So it was done. Now, of course, there was Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. There was Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Levant. There was Al-Qaeda in North Africa. They were all Al-Qaeda inspired, but weren't coordinating operations. And also, of course, we hadn't yet killed either bin Laden or Zawahiri. But in terms of Al-Qaeda as a fighting force, it was done by Christmas of 2001.
Did you happen to see the bin Laden documentary
on Netflix? Yes.
Dude, I can't tell you how many people reached out to me and they're like, "Oh, did you see this? Did you see this?" And I was like, "No, I didn't see it."
Me too.
And then I watched it, and it was cool. It wasn't necessarily any new information, except for one thing, talking about CTC. I didn't know that the Cofer quote, the flies on eyeballs thing, was at Camp David, and that's how he got the nod over Rumsfeld and the DOD. That's right. I didn't know that. That's a pretty cool story.
That is a cool story, and everybody picked it up at the time. Cofer, I always had deep respect for Cofer. We can certainly have disagreements on policy, but man, what a patriot. Cofer meant he was going to see flies on bin Laden's eyeballs when he was done. And, you have to remember too, that this was the greatest intelligence failure in American history. 3,000 Americans died because we didn't do our jobs. And so there was a deep desire for revenge after 9/11, which I understood fully. And that's why, like everybody else in the building, I kept volunteering over and over to go to Afghanistan and do whatever was required of me. Anything. And so in the end, we all had our roles. But Cofer, I was glad that Cofer headed the effort rather than Rumsfeld, because if Rumsfeld had headed it, it would have been a completely different landscape in Afghanistan.